Martina Navratilova continue their spectacular tennis rivalry under the hot Houston sun in a match that some felt was one of their greatest ever. Martina took control in the first set and won it 6-3. But the court is clay, Evert's specialty. In the second set, Chris Evert hung tough and stormed back to take the set easily, 6-1. These two tennis greats, who have spent a total of 12 years ranked #1, battled back and forth in the third set. Martina just 2 points away from victory at 5-4, couldn't put Chrissy away. The set went into a tiebreaker, and with a score 6-4, Chris hits the shot that ends the nearly 3-hour-long struggle. And today, one of the most compelling sports rivalries of all time continues. From the Westside Tennis Club in Houston, Texas, Home Sports Entertainment presents the Virginia Slims of Houston. Today, the singles final matching Chris Evert against Martina Navratilova. The Virginia Slims of Houston is brought to you by Toyota. Toyota quality. Who could ask for anything more? And a very pleasant good day, everyone. I'm Greg Lucas on this breezy but sunny day here in Houston as we get set for the singles final. And I'm joined by a couple of veteran tennis stars and commentators. On my right, Kathy Jordan, who's out right now because of an injury. And on my left, Jim Parker, who, of course, has been with us on many of our telecasts on HSE. We have a couple of great names in tennis, certainly, that are going at it here in this championship. And who better to start with than Martina Navratilova, who has been on top and right now is ranked #2. She's got to take on Chris Evert Lloyd, someone she's had some problem with on this surface.
Yeah, last year in Houston, Martina lost to Chris in the finals here, and also in the Australian Open earlier this year. But right now, I'd say Martina's on a roll. She's won 5 tournaments, and this being her 6th tournament that she's in the finals here this year. So I think we're looking for a good final, and Martina is definitely the favorite today.
Especially perhaps because she lost here last year, the revenge factor?
Well, that was a great match last year, and I think on clay, you know, that it's going to be a more even match, that Chris's best surface is on clay. But I don't think that, you know, the revenge factor is there. It's been a year. She's played Chris in between. There's a lot of matches going on, so I'm sure she's thinking about it, and she wants to make up for it.
Well, there's one vote for Martina, maybe, as a pick to win. Jim Parker, an analysis on Chris Evert. You, of course, followed her career for many years. She's ranked #3. Pressure's somewhat off because she's not 1 or 2, but she plays well on this type of surface, and, you know, she wants to defend that title.
Yeah, I do think that really is a factor. I think the fact that she... if she wins, it's a great win for her now. And if she loses, everybody kind of says, well, you know, she's had hers, and she is probably limited in number of years that she's really going to continue playing. But I also think that that can make her a little bit more dangerous. She's always been a little bit more comfortable on clay, and she has a winning record against Martina on clay. Instantly, I think they've won. I think she's won 10 out of the 13 times they played on clay, which you know, that goes back a long way. But she did beat her here last year, and she seems to be able to get up when she really needs to. And in fact, she beat her in the Australian Open earlier this year. So she's still really competitive, and I think a lot of it just depends on what kind of day they have out here today.
Well, it's a beautiful day, a little bit breezy right now. Now, this is the 77th meeting between these two. Chris has the big advantage on clay. Overall, Martina leads by 4, 40-36. We'll see what happens in this, the 77th matchup, in just a couple of minutes. You stay with us. We'll be back in Houston after this timeout. As you can see, she's 33, but hasn't lost much off that ranking. Martina has driven a little bit long here, both the same type of situations where she's missed points. Evert leaves the baseline at the right time. 40-15. So Evert wins the first game. Any general observation on that first game?
You know, I think the first game is such a strange game sometimes. You're trying to get your feel, trying to get your rhythm. Even if you've warmed up, you're adjusting to the court. The wind is really a factor out here today, and of course it's going to change each time they change sides from the north end of the court. You're hitting a little bit into the wind right now. But it looked to me really like Chrissy is kind of relaxed and hitting the ball solidly, and Martina made a couple errors that are real normal in a first game situation. She didn't miss by much, but she missed a couple of backhands. One was a chip and one was a topspin ball. But I mean, you can't tell anything from the first game because she held serve, and you're there to loosen up. But really, you feel like if you can get an early start in a match, it's definitely going to give you an edge. Chrissy doesn't. She's not established any kind of superiority, and it's tough to make any reading on the first game. But they're both hitting the ball fine.
Kathy, on a situation like that where you have the wind and you know your opponent, but are you really feeling things out in that first game?
Yeah, I think what we ought to watch a little bit from now on. Martina is now serving with the wind, I believe. So I think the wind, as Jim said, is going to play a very big factor. I think if someone is able to break serve against the wind, if Chris were to win this game, I think it would be a big advantage for her.
Martina Navratilova will be serving. Evert winning the first game. The singles final here. Martina has won over, well, almost $13 million.
Is that all?
As a tennis pro. That's all. But it keeps rising. She's on a string of 5 straight tournaments, including last week in Florida. She wants that #1 ranking back.
Yeah.
Martina Navratilova to serve.
She's gunning for it.
Steffi Graf is right now the only player ahead of these two.
Martina overall has been real happy with how she's played this week. She's been real solid off the ground, and she's been pretty consistent. In her match yesterday, she got herself out of a lot of holes that Hakami put her in. I thought Hakami is a good ground striker. She just didn't have enough to hurt her with. But Martina looked sharp.
First controversy of the match.
Let me check to see if there's a mark on that serve. It is out.
Second serve.
One major advantage with play. You leave your marks. She didn't want to say that. She stopped.
Really, I mean, it takes a lot less to get Martina a little bit irritated, and sometimes she plays better when she gets irritated. Overall, I'd say anybody that's as, I don't know, as fragile as Martina can be, it really can be a factor sometimes.
Yeah. It's surprising to see her get upset that early. Just shows you how eager she is to win this match. She's a little touchy.
Yeah, she's really.
Well, I don't think she's happy. She's not sharp yet at all. Some of the shots she's missed were ones she wouldn't ordinarily miss. it.
Really blew it in.
Yep.
And there's another example. She's missed some shots. She is not, you know, a lot of unforced errors.
I don't know. I mean, here's the replay. This is where Chrissy lobs up that ball that blows in with the wind. Perfect use of the wind there, and really ends up kind of extricating herself there.
Meanwhile, a booming serve.
15-40.
So it's 15-40. Another double fault, and the game goes to Evert, 2-0.
The wind is really a factor already.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking to Tim Gullickson a little earlier, who's been coaching Martina, and he said that really one of the things he felt that Martina was doing better than she'd ever had before was serving wide into the deuce court. Now, she missed about 4 of those serves in that game.
She just tried it about 4 times, so she's liking that serve.
That was long. Now she's missed them on both ends of the court. In the first game, she was long with a couple of backhands into the wind, and she's also been long with the wind, so she's just not sharp.
Yeah, that was a good forehand.
Yeah.
15-all.
I think really, though, a game that like Martina has is a little bit tougher at first to get under control. She knows she has to force the play a little bit. She doesn't want to just stand back and rally with Chris all day, and so she's trying to do a little bit more right now.
Yeah. For Chris to win this game here, if she does, because then we're looking at 3-love, so Martina needs to get back in here.
Again, this is, there you see what we alluded to earlier in the previous match.
40-15.
40-15. She whaps at the air off camera. As you see Chris Evert. This is clay, green clay. One thing that is probably making it even more difficult is the wind actually is stronger now than it was when the players were out for their early warm-up 2 hours ago. It was not blowing this much, so they really weren't able to gauge it.
Yeah, plus it's uneven. I mean, it's not like it's blowing at a constant speed the whole time. Same direction.
And the game goes to Evert, and she leads 3 games love. We'll be back with more from the Virginia Slims of Houston after this timeout.
Seeing her go out, but you know, those earlier matches have a lot to do with what happens here today, what kind of momentum they develop through the week, and whether they feel like they're playing well in the earlier matches.
Exactly, and especially if they get tired from a match.
Navratilova still having problem with that first serve.
About 15.
About 15. You know what we're seeing here with Evert in command primarily on missed shots by Martina is Very much unusual. She has won 29 straight matches. This is Martina, and she's only lost 2 sets during that time and winning 5 straight tournaments. 15 all.
That's kind of vintage Martina there.
Yeah.
Chrissy, you're right, has not had to do a lot so far. She's been solid, but she hasn't had to be spectacular in any way.
That, of course, has been mostly her career, just mistake-free.
Martina cannot establish her attacking game. We're going to see a split screen here. Here we can see Chrissy, I think, hitting the passing shot. There she goes there. But if Martina has trouble establishing her attacking game, she's going to have trouble in this match because she's got to dominate Chris in order to win.
Second serve. Just as we spoke, that she hadn't been making some spectacular shots, she's certainly made some nice workmanlike ones on the passing lanes.
Here's Martina. We're going to see her approaching, coming to net. And Chris hitting for the second straight point, her forehand pass down the line.
Her third service of the 4 in this game has had to go to a second serve.
Critical point here. I really think this is probably the biggest point of the first set so far.
I think you're right. Martina can get this game, and this point obviously she needs.
And again, she'll have to go on a second serve.
Sometimes you get an idea of what a player's overall plan is against another player just by seeing how they play those big points. It looked to me like Martina wanted to go in, but she's getting a little bit tentative about getting in there.
And then also you can see Chris hit about 7 straight balls to Martina's backhand, waiting for the error, and she got it.
That is probably at least 5 times that she just missed the back line.
She's not missing by much, but it's enough to lose the point.
Perfect shot.
That's the pattern that Chrissy does not like for her to get into. I think we're going to see the beginning of the point here is Chrissy serving, but what will eventually happen is that Martina gets in on her forehand approach shot, and it's wide to Chrissy's backhand, so she's in a tough position. What's beautiful about it?
Second serve. Took off the run.
15-30.
Kathy, you're Martina right now. What do you think you'd be trying to do?
Well, I think she still has to play her game, and I think she's just got to try to execute a little better. Concentrate to keep those balls in. see Martina start to assert herself and take control.
15-40.
Well, she needs it. She needs a break. Evert is up 2 breaks and 4 love here in the first set. Just missed.
30-40.
Martina right now is against the wind. Sometimes when you need to loosen up, it actually helps to be against the wind because you can really swing out at the ball. And she's doing that. I think that error was really just swinging out at it.
Yeah. It's going to help her to stop being tentative and get over that deficit she's down.
That floated right out.
There's just enough of a crosswind. You know, that lob that Chrissy hit went in because of it, and Martina hit the other side of the court with it. So here's Chrissy coming into Martina's backhand. This is the way she likes to come in. If she comes in at all, notice how far back Martina is. So she almost has to lob, and it blows out.
Gone to deuce.
Oh, that's a good serve.
And the advantage goes to Evert.
Martina's starting to press a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it looked earlier in this game at 15-40 like she was getting more comfortable. And now, advantage Evert.
So the game goes to Evert. She has taken a whopping 5 games to love lead here in the first set. We're at the Virginia Slims of Houston singles finals. We'll be back in a moment. In her quarterfinal match, losing the first set, and then Garrison actually tough first set, but then she came back and won it in 2. She's only had to go 3 sets once.
Yeah, in that particular match, I think Gretchen Majors, it almost looked like once she won that first set that she had done what she came to do. There was a real definite change in her intensity level.
She was probably surprised, huh?
Yeah.
Greg Lucas here, along with Jim Parker, Kathy Jordan. Kathy, of course, 2-time doubles champ at Wimbledon. Semifinals at Wimbledon in '84. Has victories over both of our competitors here. Ranked as high as 5th in the world, but currently recuperating from arthroscopic surgery on a knee. She won't be back till midsummer. Well, Navratilova double faults.
There's that serve you're talking about.
Yeah,
Tim Gullickson has her working on.
She looks like she's determined to get it working here today.
Taking an amazing turn.
Set point.
There's been there was one match where Chrissy beat Martina love and love back about, I don't know, 10 years ago.
No, it's about 5, yeah.
Was it that?
In Amelia Island, yeah.
It's just.
But then Martina beat her the next year, I think, the same final,
like
2 in love. Yeah, so.
Well, the difference here is that Martina would be the one wanting their revenge because they both met here last year, but right now it's Evert off to a super start. And the game goes to Chris Evert, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's 6-love first set score.
When I was growing up, the guy told me one time that you should never beat a good player 6-love. And it's always interesting to see. This to me is a real surprise. It'd be interesting to see how Martina changes or somehow adjust now to the fact that we got a new set.
Last 2 times They met, of course, in the Australian Open in January. Chris won at 6-2, 75. Boy, is Martina upset.
Kathy was saying earlier that Martina really has it in her head that she wants to regain that #1 ranking, and a match like this is something that can kind of slow her momentum a little bit.
She's having some words with someone in the crowd.
She's very touchy. Here we have Martina and Chris having a baseline rally. And you can see Martina hitting blistering forehand. Down the line, winner.
All week I felt like she's been hitting that forehand well. I think probably the errors that she's made in the first set have been more backhand errors, but she needs to bring that forehand in operation a little more. She's going to really control these points. I think Chrissy's done a good job of keeping that ball going to her back.
Yeah.
Martina getting very active now.
Yep.
And
she's getting aggressive and psyched up now.
Here we go. Go ahead.
Sorry, coming in off of Chris's second serve. Great lob over her head. Chris hitting a short ball. Martina coming back into the net, being very aggressive. Chris overhitting the pass.
And Martina's coming in every point this game so far. I mean, especially with the win, I can see where she really does want to get in as much as she can. It'll be interesting to see if that's something that she really tries to maintain through the set.
She should, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that's the only way she's really, I mean, right now she's obviously not being successful staying back where she is.
slipped just as she was getting ready to hit that shot. Sneaker caught on the clay, it appeared.
There we got Chrissy hitting that ball. I think just when Martina goes to come in, that ball almost rolled. It looked like it only came up about half a foot off the ground.
That just got caught in the wind and blew right over the line. And Evert continues her dominance here, leading the first game of the second set. 1 game love.
I think that was a big game, actually. I mean, I really felt like maybe Martina was going to suddenly take hold and get a service break. And actually, I think sometimes, don't you find it hard sometimes to hold serve in that first game of the second set after you had kind of a cruising first set?
Yeah, especially, you know how crucial it is at the beginning of the second set because, things have started over again. You've won 1 set, but so what? You need to get the next one. And that's a big advantage for Chris to have won her serve there, especially against the wind.
Now, as we've seen, of course, Chris Evert for many years had the reputation of the ice princess, the ice maiden, calm, cool, collected. She has had no reason to be anything but that, the way things have gone so far today. The volatility and the anger at certain times at herself and recognizing people saying things in the crowd. It's tough to criticize Martina with the tremendous record she has had, but has that played a part in perhaps some of the times when she hasn't won?
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. I think she's much more emotional and expresses it than Chris does, and that's part of her personality. I don't think she can change that. Sometimes that's to her advantage that she can then, psych herself up that way. But I think Chris is the most mentally stable. I'm not trying to say other people are unstable, but that's one great reason for the success of her career is because she never beats herself, and she's always concentrating and focused on the match, whereas sometimes Martina might get too angry and lose her focus.
Well, she'll have to bring it back in focus as they've relined and swept the court, smoothed it out. Navratilova serving. This is one of these matches you just expect at any moment Martina all of a sudden to pull it together, but she hasn't yet.
Double fault.
But, you know, the crowd really is starting to want her to come back here. They want to see a well-contested match. So far, it really hasn't been.
Well,
very struggling here.
She really is. The error count we checked during one of our breaks was up to 11-1. I don't know what. Maybe Jim can check an update on it. But
looks like 15 now. She's made 15 unforced errors.
You aren't going to win many unless your opponents make just as many. And that's not the case.
I mean, that serve she missed by 10 feet.
Yeah.
Pretty uncharacteristic.
Left. 15-30.
15-30.
She's had a few of those in the arsenal, but she just hasn't had enough. But more importantly, she's had too many of the other shots she's supposed to make, the routine shots that she hasn't.
Oh, that's a fabulous shot.
That's 2 in a row now.
It's going to take some shots like that to really get her fired up again. I mean, you know, every once in a while, just making a couple great winners can kind of activate you again. And she's still in this match. Obviously, she wins this game. It's anybody's match. It's just that if it gets too far slipped by, she's going to really have to play great to catch up.
I think it really illustrates the changing things in the game, that she will have won 5 tournaments in a row, and here she loses the first set 6-love to somebody.
And again, only the third set that she'd lost in 20 now, actually in 30.
Of course, that somebody is Chris Evert.
That's true.
Yeah, somebody.
I guess if you're only going to lose 3 out of 30, you might as well lose it big. Still counts as only 1 set.
That's a great drop shot. That's a great save.
There you go. She's had 3 super shots now in this game.
There's Martina and Chris at the baseline. We see Martina now getting a super drop shot. Chris coming in and covering it. Martina just putting a little lob over Chris's head.
I mean, Martina was in trouble when she hit that shot,
She was. It was a great lob.
She trailed of 30 and then had 3 real good winning shots.
Chris pounding Martina's backhand. The interesting thing is, Jim, is that when Steffi plays Martina, she pounds Martina's forehand. And Chris goes to the backhand.
Well, Bill Tilden used to always recommend hitting at the player's strength until it folds. Their strength to fold, but it's just...
I think that Steffi considers Martina's strength to be her backhand. And Chris the
You think
opposite.
so? Really? I would pick her forehand is definitely more penetrating.
Let's get a third opinion. What is your opinion when you play?
I think Martina's forehand is weaker in many instances.
She misses it
Although
more.
she'll make more winners with it.
Yeah.
Game over.
So Evert wins the game, leads it 2-1 in the second set after winning the opening set 6-love. We'll be back with more from the West Side Tennis Club here in Houston in just a moment. Here's the prize money breakdown. So as you can see, this is worth a difference of $28,000 in first and second place.
How much do you think the money has an effect on the way they react to a match?
I think none at all until they're finished, and then they say, "Oh shoot, I would have won 28,000 more if I'd won that match."
I mean, I'm just having trouble really grasping that 28,000 is almost meaningless, but
yeah,
you know,
it's strange to, as you would say to most people. But
we mentioned before, Jim, Martina's won almost 13 million. So what's another 28,000, right?
Yeah, it's just running around money for the week.
Now, Chris Evert actually has one more, but she started just a few years before and hasn't won as much money. Forces her high. Good shot. Stretched her out.
Get a chance to look at some of the things that have happened here in the first set. Yeah, the big difference is the unforced errors, 15-1.
33% on the first serve percentage for Navratilova, as opposed to 68%.
And Martina's first serve is going well. Her game is going well. So we can see what a difference that makes in the first set.
Do you feel like there's any difference coming into Chrissy's forehand, coming into her backhand?
Well, her backhand is her better shot, and although she has good passes off the forehand, though. I would rather come into her forehand than her backhand, though. I'm sure Martina does, too.
One of Martina's favorite approaches is cross-court, which has always surprised me. She hits that forehand cross-court to the right-hander's backhand.
Yeah, she has that kind of continental forehand that likes to go cross-court. That's why.
Here we got Chrissy in the groundstroke rally. Then Martina comes in. She comes in down the line, which you can begin to argue is not the right shot on that particular point.
Has a good first serve. 40-30. Navratilova to even things at 2 games apiece here in the second set.
See Martina serving here. Baseline rally. You're going to watch her coming in. Chris hits, you can see there, the wind is affecting her because she can't hit the regular overhead. She has to take it over.
Kind of the Connors skyhook shot.
Right.
Oh. 15 left.
The points are getting a little bit longer.
15
I
left.
mean, Martina may be finding a range. She looked like she's finding a range right there at the end of that last game. They had a couple long points and she won them. And there she sprays one again.
That was the point we made earlier. She leads in singles titles, Chris Evert. She has not won as much money, but almost $9 million. Who's counting?
The IRS.
Do they count that?
Oh, that's a great shot.
Yes, it's great. But Chrissy's won 154 singles titles, far and away ahead of anybody else.
People, you know, put this in context. You had Billie Jean King, who was replaced by Chris Evert, who was replaced by Martina, although they jockeyed for position. And now Steffi Graf has gotten into the picture.
You know, the leadership in the women's tends to, I think, last a little bit longer than the men's. I think you can make a case both ways, but my argument is that somebody like Margaret Court dominated, then Billie Jean dominated, then Chrissy dominated, with a little bit more consistency than the men have had.
Wide.
30 all.
30 all.
I would attribute that to the men's serve.
Yeah, it's more of an equalizer. Here we see both players. Interestingly, as soon as you see one player hit, you'll see the other player turn the shoulder, getting that early reaction to the ball. It's one reason they look so smooth even when the ball's going back and forth in a hurry.
40-30.
40-30. Navratilova has not been able to break serve.
Here we're going to see Martina approaching down to Chris's forehand. Chris going for the nice pass, but Martina stretches and makes the volley.
She loved making that one, too.
Yeah. She's trying to get herself psyched up.
I really think that was what was going on there, where she started
looking
gesturing
at the crowd.
somebody in the crowd.
Looking for something to get her going.
Oh, gosh.
There. It's still alive.
That's good.
Not too long. Advantage Navratilova.
That was a very interesting shot.
Here's Chrissy making the kind of desperation lob, but she made such a good one and put Martina in defensive position. But look at that get that Chrissy made. Wasn't enough, though. Martina just made that great backhand drop shot.
Yeah. She looked like a basketball player.
Yeah. Which she is in her spare time, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
We're back to deuce.
That was Martina's chance to break serve there.
I don't know. I mean, I consider that to be kind of a good error. I mean, she was going for the right shot. She's got to take some risks.
You're right. It's only deuce after all.
made it.
There's a lob again. Goodness. So good. Keeps that ball and working it back in.
Martina's keeping her moving left to right.
Chrissy went for it there.
Yeah, tries to return in kind.
Martina's really pressing Chris back for that forehand.
That'll be in. Good lob.
That's a good overhead.
So the advantage goes back to Navratilova.
Actually, we haven't seen one overhead being hit in the air.
Chrissy tried to lob this, and she did. I really thought she was out of the point. I thought the wind would blow it out, but it turned out she was out of the point.
Look at Martina. She's still trying to get herself into the match there. Psyching herself up.
I mean, that's one of the things you have to say has to stand out. And so somebody that's the level of competitor that Martina is. I mean, she's down, but she's not out of the match.
Not at all.
She's not letting any of this stuff keep her from thinking about winning.
Get it, and we go back to deuce.
But that's the thing about a younger player or a less experienced player. After losing the first set 6-love, they might be so embarrassed.
Here's Martina coming in. She comes in with what looks like a pretty good approach shot, but Chrissy simply makes that lob look easy at this point. She's really got the touch on that thing. She's using the wind, and she's not overhitting and not underhitting.
That's one of her best shots.
Goes to Evert for the first time in this game.
Martina really getting frustrated. She's playing better. You know, points are lasting longer. I think though that really that kind of point is to Chrissy's liking. I mean, she's out there grinding it out like she usually does. And you know, if Martina doesn't win one of these games pretty soon, it's just going to get harder and harder for her to climb the hill.
Service, though it was the toughest scramble she's had, leading 3 games to 2 in the second set after winning the opening set 6-love. We'll be back with more from the Virginia Slims of Houston in a moment. More of the statistical story here, Kathy.
We're going to look at points at net, which obviously Martina is much more eager to get to the net. She's won 11 out of 22, 50%. Chris, who comes in on more of a sure approach shot, has won a higher percentage, 4 out of 6.
It's one of those statistics that style is more important than those numbers because Everett's way ahead.
Could be misleading if you didn't know what was going on.
You know, one of the things that came out of the CompuTennis stuff was that they began realizing that Chris was winning a fairly high percentage of the shots as she came to the net, but she was coming in on so few. This was at a time when she was losing most of her matches with Martina, and right about that time was when she started increasing the number of times she came in the net. Now, this doesn't reflect it particularly, but she's winning from the baseline right now, so she doesn't really have to.
That's the key. She got early. Martina was making errors, and so Chris has really never had to change anything.
First real error that she's made.
Certain volley points we've seen from Martina.
Yeah, I think it's only the second time she's done that.
Second serve, that was a fault. baseline on the far end of the court as we view it. She has missed that one repeatedly.
First serve.
Martina getting about 48% of her first serves in at this point. Chrissy's been getting about 70.
Of course, Martina's trying for more, but it is an indication of how she's going to play. We're seeing much more baseline points rather than Martina coming to the net.
Interesting.
40-15.
Here's Martina serving. Second serve, she still comes in. I don't know whether that was a factor in why Chris missed, but when Martina comes in, Chrissy obviously has to get a little different return.
Second serve. You can expect a few more mistakes from Chrissy as the day wears on, simply because it's hot and she's been out there. She was almost perfect in the first set.
There's the first overhead we've seen in the air. It was rather a short one. Chris put it away.
40-30.
Some of our crowd in the neighborhood of 6,000. Let's look.
It's Chrissy coming in down the line on a very good approach shot. Martina all stretched out. Chris pounding the overhead away.
Second serve. Double fault, we go to deuce.
Martina's just putting a lot of pressure on herself. It seems like to do a lot with the ball. And even on that second serve, she's just cranking that serve.
Well, we are at a crucial point in the match. Chris is up 3-2. Martina's serving. She needs this game. That's a sloppy error there. That could cost her.
I'm real puzzled by the lack of sharpness that Martina's displaying today. She's been so sharp all week. And, you know, you were mentioning earlier that you thought Chrissy was a little bit edgy during the week. It seems like it's a reversal.
I think both of them are a little edgy, but I think that Martina's showing a lot more. Of course, when you're winning, it's easier to feel good about things. That's great.
Deuce again.
You got a chance to watch both Chris and Martina over several years. Yeah, what kind of physical condition do you think that they're in compared to how they were 10 years ago?
Oh, can't even compare. You can look at pictures in the magazines or whatever. It's just the definition, and Chris is much thinner and more muscular and much more concentrating, both of them, on their fitness. It's necessary to stay in the game, especially at the ages that they are.
Oh, she missed one, and we go back to deuce. It was sitting right there for her.
One thing that's interesting to note, I think, is that if you saw a less experienced player, you see a junior in these same situations, a lot of times you see some tentativeness when the match gets real tight, whereas here Martina is still going out after all these shots. She's missing them, but it seems to me she's at least trying the right things.
Yeah, you're right. She has to keep going for it. How else are you going to win the match?
And the advantage goes back to Martina.
It's very sloppy of Chris. Looks like her third error in the whole match. Jeez.
She's really letting down.
Maybe they've all come in this game, I think.
You see Martina approaching off the forehand, down the line. Coming in stretched out, makes that fabulous volley.
I think Chrissy's down the line is more. Do you think she likes that one better than her cross court?
Yeah, I think so. Especially when Martina's making that tough approach and Chrissy is stretched. She has to go down the line.
Second serve for Evert. We're even at 3 games apiece here in the second set.
She's made more than one shot. She's complaining she hasn't made any, but
well, she's missed a ton of them, though, on that baseline on that end.
I think she needs to get this game and break Chris. She wants to get ahead for once in the match.
Ball was good. First serve.
Ball was dead. The call you heard was fault. Ball was dead, so this will be first serve.
David Robichaud in the chair changed the call of the lines person.
First serve, second serve.
First serve.
Okay, sorry.
Was
15
out.
all.
15 all.
I don't think Chrissy can afford to let down at this point. I think if she loses this game, it's going to be a completely different match.
Yeah, the momentum will switch over to Martina.
That was a near genius shot, but here we got Chrissy coming in, and she comes in on a good short ball deep to Martina's backhand. But again, both of them are lobbing well today. They're using the wind well. Chrissy tries a shot that's a little bit risky, but she would look like a genius if she'd made it.
15-30.
And then we see 2 points where Chris came to the net
I know.
and lost the
boggled by
point.
that.
This is by far the closest that Martina has been to breaking serve in the match.
Great shot.
30-40.
Here we see Chris basically toying with Martina in the baseline and then hitting a beautiful backhand down the line right in the corner.
That couldn't have been a better shot.
Deuce we go. Martina was ahead 15-40, and we're at deuce.
Martina hit that shot. I thought she'd really nailed it, but so she couldn't have missed it by too much. But all it takes is an inch or two.
First serve.
That hit the net. Navratilova.
Advantage Navratilova.
We see Martina going for a high topspin lob to Chrissy's backhand. She's way off the court. Martina comes in.
She kind of snuck in there. I don't know.
Snuck in, yeah.
Yeah, she was there.
Put the volley away.
What a shot.
She's getting much more aggressive.
Navratilova breaks serve for the first time and takes a 4-3 lead. in the second set.
This is the last point of the game there. Martina hits a good stretch volley there just to keep the ball in play, and Chrissy tries to go back down the line. Martina's waiting there for her. That's a good stretch volley. Of course, she had open court. She's just, you know, you can tell just by the way she hit that ball that she's going to take that game and run.
Well, the coiffed hair has been blown a little bit in the air, but
I noticed your do was a little skewed, Greg.
It's all gone, I think. But it's a great day. It is, as we saw earlier, around 85, but the humidity is low. And it's a great day for tennis. And now, let's talk strategy here. Navratilova, that you mentioned during the point, Jim and Kathy, that was a real big one because, you know, we mentioned before, 6-love first set. So what? It's only one set. And now Martina is at least ahead in this one, and she can even the thing up if she just holds serve.
Martina's serving now, 4-3. She's up a break. She's with the win. So she definitely has the momentum in her favor.
She's just been gritty. I think, you know, she's really hung in there through those games when she just didn't feel like she was playing well.
Here was the way the players were seated coming into the tournament, and you see on the right the world ranking. Navratilova and Evert 2 and 3 in the world, 1 and 2 in this.
Well, you know,
Zina Garrison.
The Houston fans were a little disappointed Lori McNeil went out early in the singles, but we're going to get a chance to see her. She'll be playing in the doubles final this afternoon.
Zina Garrison also against each other, actually. All right, we're just set to go. Navratilova serving. Oh, and I put a dump, a better return.
Chrissy's balls just don't have the bite on those drop shots that Martina's have. Martina can hit that ball and just make it drop dead, whereas Chrissy's just a little bit more likely to sit up a bit.
Martina's looking like a different person now, isn't she?
Yeah, she's rolling now.
She also shows there, doesn't she, the importance of getting her first serve in, because she's got a hard, powerful first serve, and it's a real world of difference.
Yeah, her whole game is based on that serve. But she's not getting it in. She's in trouble.
Nice passing
Great
shot.
shot.
Chrissy's got a few tricks left in her bag, I think.
30-15.
Ball looked like it wavered up there a little bit. Now, some players decide they're not going to lob as much on a windy day. Personally, I think if you can control the lob at all, that it's worth it to lob on a windy day because it's so much tougher to hit that overhead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Late fault call.
It was long, marked out.
I don't think Martina complained about the call. She kind of wanted to call a little quicker.
Oh my gosh, that's
Super shot. Super shot.
I thought Martina hit the perfect approach there.
Yeah.
30-40.
Here's Chrissy stretching way wide. She goes from being way behind on the point to all of a sudden winning a point with a clean winner. Chrissy's got some determination of her own today.
Yeah, you're right.
Dust in the eyes. Martina takes off the glasses. Perspiration, perhaps.
There it is again.
You can't throw the ball that close.
Hey, it's uncanny.
So the service break that Navratilova got in the last game is given right back.
Normally, if a player comes in on the opponent who's behind the baseline, the odds are in favor of the incoming approacher. But Martina had Chris way back, and Chris has pulled it out like three times in that one game.
It's very interesting now, 4-all. What was that?
Yeah, Martina's wondering what was that also. Tough ball.
As soon as she got the slice advantage there, she snuck into the net.
15-all.
Chris and Martina. Martina slides one down the line. You can see Chris is stretched out. So Martina sees it, sneaks in, puts that volley away.
That's a great move.
Second serve. Can't do anything with those when they're placed like that.
I think the thing to notice about Chrissy in that situation is that here we're going to get a chance to see her do it. Martina's going to look for the chance to come in here. Here it is. She goes deep to Chrissy's forehand. Now, Chrissy just stays so calm. She doesn't overreact to those shots. It's real easy to panic and try too good a shot. At least it's easy for me.
To panic?
Yeah.
You're not the only one.
30-all.
30-all. $40-30.
40-30.
Fans are trying to get Martina geared up here again. I think they'd like to see a 3-set match.
I think that if the court were 6 inches longer, this would be a real close match.
Maybe she's been practicing on a different court.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
There's a story in the early days of the tour when they had put together a center court that was different than the courts that they'd been playing on the rest of the tournament. And they, the guys were noticing that when they served, they could hit the crud out of the ball on one end, and they couldn't get a serve in from the other end. It turned out that they had misaligned the service box, so it was 3 feet longer on one side, 3 feet shorter on the other.
That's quite a difference.
Advantage goes to Evert.
That's another unforced error by Martina. Chris the ad to go up 5-4.
There it is again.
Got to it and got it over and 2. Chris returned it.
Oh, that's a great shot. Well, Martina was in real trouble on this one. She came in. Now, she barely tips this. This is a great extension and jump. Chrissy's in pretty good control there. Martina just made that passing shot look easy.
You can just see the difference between the serve and volley are Martina and Chris at the net.
Yeah, her agility is amazing.
We're back at deuce.
Martina coming in behind the second serve.
No.
You're right.
There she had an easy shot, and she tried to do a little bit too much. And that's because Chris has been passing her, hitting her these great lobs, so she's trying to do just a little too much with the approach shot.
There's such a fine line there.
Hmm?
You do too little and Chrissy hurts you, and you do too much and you miss it.
Yeah.
So Evert wins the game. Now leads at 5-4. She's one game away from taking this one in 2 straight. We'll be right back. Nation in the 40s, but you're about to have to go up another notch, aren't you, Jim? I didn't want to bring
You would have to bring it up. But, you know, the nice thing is, see, you can keep on playing down. It's just that they don't let you play up. I can't play in the 50s yet, Greg.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Also the pro at the Houston Racket Club, as we take a look at our competitors. Martina Navratilova making some adjustments to the racket.
She looks like she's putting in those little, trying to save her.
Stringlings or whatever they call them.
Yeah, trying to save her. I'm sure she's using gut on the
You know,
clay.
I think this is maybe a chance to talk about this rivalry. I mean, this has to be one of the most enduring sports rivalries in any sport in history. I can't think of a more enduring rivalry than this one's been.
And a friendly one, too.
Wasn't always that way at the beginning. They were, I think, when Chris was #1 and Martina was the challenger, you used to hear some things said between the two. Now they respect each other for what they are. I guess that's the security of being a veteran who's won anywhere between $9 and $12 million. Well, there's just one great contrast. Chris has been able to hit the lob to that end. Martina's not been able to hit anything to that end, keep it in.
Yeah, she really has struggled this whole day. Chrissy 3 points away now. Still 3.
15 all.
Martina not serving appreciably better than she was in the first set. She's getting slightly more than half of her first serves in now.
Second serve.
We're going to see Martina on the replay. Taking this rather short ball, whacking the forehand. It's a little short, and Chris just places that forehand on line pass.
She's just been threading the needle. I mean, every one of those is landing with the foot on the line.
Martina has not made the shots, and Chris has. So if you want to just succinctly condense the whole match into one phrase.
You really have a knack for that.
Condensing that thing. It's
That was crucial. Chris is 2 points away from winning the match. This is pressure for Martina right here.
missed it again.
Great return by Chris.
Well, it was a great return. pressure for Chris.
That's sure. Martina now has to hold it or it's over.
I think what would be interesting is if Martina starts with volleys here.
Out. Deuce.
She stood back on that first serve. She's thinking about
Deuce.
Frustration, but same token.
Now we'll see Martina again having to decide whether to come to serve and volley or stay back on her first serve.
Now remember, the shoe was almost on the other foot a year ago. Martina was in a situation where she could have closed it out. Didn't. Chris won it.
That wind is really kicking up right now.
You can hear it.
Martina's balls are just stopping on the other side of the net.
Both of them being very cautious right now.
Yeah.
And that's out. Evert has the advantage. Her advantage just got slightly larger. Second serve. And a double fault ends it. Chris Evert defends her championship at the Virginia Slims of Houston with a straight set 6-love, 6-4 win over the world's #2 ranked Martina Navratilova. We'll be back with more from the West Side Tennis Club after this timeout.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to present the tournament director of Virginia Slims of Houston, Barbara Petty. Barbara.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's fun to be the director of this tournament. Chris and Martina enter every year. They reach the finals every year. They play incredible tennis, and a little more tennis history is made in Houston. So Chris and Martina, thanks for coming back.
World. But most importantly, we want to thank you, the tennis fans of Houston, for your support. Thank you. Well, if the matches that have been played this week are any indication, the race for the #1 spot in women's tennis for 1988 is going to be very, very interesting. Chris and Martina surely will be in the heat of the race. And Martina, tough match today, but as always, you played like the true champion that you are. On behalf of Toyota and Virginia Slims, I'm proud to present you a check for $22,500 as a singles runner-up. Congratulations.
I thank you for your kind words, but if I played like a champion, the score would not have been as it was. I really have to, this isn't to take nothing away from Chris. She played a terrific match, but I really, I'm still trying to figure out what happened tonight. Oh, that's right, so, today was, I don't know. I don't know if I should laugh or cry. It was so pitiful. But I hope that I'll do better next year. Anyway, I'd like to thank Toyota for being the presenter, as well as letting us drive those great cars around this week. And Virginia Slims for having been here for so many years. And I'd like to say sorry to all my supporters over there, especially Tim. This is not worth crying. No, I'm not going to run for president. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, to present the winner's prize, the manager, marketing promotions of Virginia Slims, Ina Broman.
On behalf of Virginia Slims, I would like to take this opportunity to once more thank all of you, the fans. It has been your... If you could please come up. It was 18 years ago, we were privileged to have, through the strong work and the support of Joseph Coleman, our chairman of Philip Morris, and hard work of Gladys Hellman, that brought the first Virginia Slims series, which started here in Houston. Then the prize money, the check was $1,500. Well, we've come a long way, baby. And Chris, it is with great honor that I present to you today this check from Virginia Slims for $50,000. Sorry, for $50,000. Thank you, Chris.
I thought you were going to say $150,000. Anyway, thank you, Ina. Thank you to Virginia Slims for being our sponsor worldwide, and Toyota for being the sponsor this week. Barbara Perry, you did a great job as usual. You're one of the best promoters around. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all of you for your support. I felt it all week. I don't know if you really, it was genuine, or you felt sorry for a 33-year-old out here. I don't know, but I really appreciate it. And I'm sorry Martina felt that she played pitiful today. I don't think she did in that second set. She had me running around there, but I don't think she should be too upset. She's won 5 tournaments this year, and she's currently the leader. So far this year, she's had the best year than Steffi or me, so I don't think she should be too upset. But anyway, I don't want to take anything away from her either, but I don't think I played too shabby out there, so. I'd just like to also thank Juan for hitting with me this week, and Andy for his great support, and all my relatives here in Houston, and I'd certainly love to come back next year. Thank you.
We'll be back with more from the West Side Tennis Club, where Chris Evert has won the singles championship for the Virginia Slims for 1988 after we take this time out. Chris Evert is Jim Parker. Jim?
Well, Chrissy, it's a great match you played today. Did you surprised at all?
Yeah, I was. Obviously, Martina did not play her best match, and that first set she was making a lot of mistakes. But in that second set, I thought she started to play a little bit better, and she's such a champion that she could have turned that match around and made it a 3-set match if I didn't watch it and get too relaxed. So, oh gosh.
Sorry about that. Well, do you think that today was any indication of the way the year's going to go? We get kind of a preview of the two of you each year here in Houston before some of the major tournaments. We've got the French Open coming up, and you've played traditionally real well in that tournament. I know that Martina has in mind that she wants to regain the #1 ranking. What are your goals for this year?
Well, first of all, I have to say that, Steffi and Martina are still the two favorites. I mean, once in a while, one of them is going to have a bad day, or one of us is going to have a great day and beat them. But I think as far as consistency, they're still winning the big tournaments, and that's why it's a thrill today for me to beat Martina.
Well, you really played well, and we were all aware that although maybe Martina feels that she was having a rough day, that it was partly your fault. Do you think that the types of things that you're trying to do this year involve mainly the Grand Slam events, or is this the type of event that you can really put a lot of attention into?
Well, I think if you're going to pick any tournaments to do well, and I think the Grand Slams are still the favorites among the players, but you know, a tournament like this or any of the other Virginia Slims tournaments, you still want to do well, and you still want to beat the top players. And because we're playing so much, you know, everybody's going to have their bad day once in a while, and I've certainly had a few against her. And I think, you know, bottom line is she just didn't play that well, and I really did play well.
I've got a question for you from Kathy that I'm going to relay.
I think everybody will want to know how her engagement is affecting her tennis.
Kathy wants to know how your engagement has been affecting your tennis lately.
You know, I think the second time around, I'm more used to. I know the pressures and I know the great feelings. I think it's not distracting me at all right now. I mean, I'm having a great time off the court, and then on the court I'm just trying to really concentrate on my tennis. So I think I can balance the two pretty well.
You seem to do that pretty well today. Well, we appreciate you stopping by, and congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Back to you, Greg.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Boy, Kathy, you kind of zung her with that one.
I think everybody wanted to know that.
Okay. Well, the final score again in 2 straight sets. It was Evert over Navratilova, 6-love and 6-4 to win the singles championship at the Westside Tennis Club in Houston.